So, really tonight,
All right.
I make the decision for the township on how much.
Yeah,
You and Rita?
you, Rita, and 3 board members
Yeah.
will make the salary decisions on the township elected officials. So bring a money bag, will you please? All right, so I'll call to order the Torch Lake Township budget hearing of March 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. to review the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-25. Sharon, will you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I will make the motion to open the budget public hearing to review the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-25. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to open the budget public hearing to review the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-25. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The proposed tax millage rates to be levied to support the budget will be the subject of this hearing and meets the truth and taxation requirements. Key aspects of the financial activities for the prior fiscal year, 23-24, of the township was the following. We established separate accounts to track the bifurcation of the ambulance and fire fund millages, supporting the purchase of new ambulance and fire trucks, and established funds so we have the ability to pay cash for all future equipment purchases. If you will take the budget package, did you notice the scenic view of Torch Lake there?
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, the first page, titled Township Tax Information. I provide a breakdown of where your tax payment goes. Currently, we have returned to 17 cents of each tax dollar that we pay out. That is up from 14 cents in prior years due to the increase in the ambulance, road, and fire funds for our capital program. As a sidebar comment, you may have heard about the referendum related to eliminating property taxes in the state of Michigan. Whether you agree or disagree, this page illustrates what might go away if it passes. To provide for schools, fire, and ambulance services, we'll need funds from somewhere, and the state needs to figure this out so the public knows what the alternatives are. As you can see, total taxes to the township went up $852,600, with school and county taxes accounting for 82% of the increase. The driver was the appreciation in property valuation. Torch Lake Township property valuations went up $30 million or 9%. Any questions with regards to this increase can be addressed to our assessor or treasurer. The next page highlights the cash flow for the township. We began March of 23 with $2.5 million, and we should end up in March of 2024 with $3 million. Some of the increase is reflective of expense timing. Increases with regards to the fire truck purchase, that was delayed, and that was favorable for us for $351,000, and lower costs of the general fund of $100,000 through cost management. I misspoke. The March 2025 will be $3 million.
Right. I was just going to correct that.
Yep. The next chart below kind of lays out our cash flow based upon the fact that we run negative results for the first 9 months of the year based on our collecting taxes starting in late December. And then the next 3 months, we pick that up. So If there's no questions related to that, we'll move on to the next page, which is a summary of some of the key items in the 23-24, and this is against the budget. We estimated a loss of $393,000. Now we're estimating that we'll have a surplus of $424,000. The general fund is lower by $226,000. The higher revenue, lower expenses were the key drivers, and because of the lack of the planning commission and cases for the ZBA and the zoning administrator's office, that was one of the key drivers for the reduction. Road fund expenses came in lower by $53,000. The fire fund came in lower by $435,000, and that was because of the delay of the fire truck, which was roughly $351,000.
Wow.
The ambulance fund was lower by $101,000. Higher revenue and lower expenses contributed to that. So in total, the improvement for the township was $818,000 versus the budget. Key drivers by fund for budget 24-25. General fund, the revenue is basically flat. Expenses are up slightly. And that's basically because of the master plan that we will be conducting and higher other payroll costs. Road fund, the road work tied to the 5-year program. We'll discuss that in the capital section. For fire, delivery of the truck will be, we're hopeful, December of 2024. And that will result in an outflow of cash of $351,000. Ambulance, slightly positive, evaluating costs of payroll changes that we voted on earlier in 24. The funds will be available to purchase a new ambulance for delivery in the 25-26 fiscal year time period. We end up with a strong cash position and will maintain the capital program and reevaluate millages in the 25-26 time period.
So we might, in 25, 26, because of this gain, we might be able to lower those special use or special assessment district taxes?
The taxes will not be reduced. When we get to the capital section, which is coming up, we will need those dollars because the ambulance will be able to reallocate a number
Okay,
because right now it's 0.4 mils.
okay,
So based on our getting the ambulance a little earlier in the cycle, we'll be able to then drop that to probably 0.1, 0.2 and slide the difference over into operations to cover increased costs for the payroll.
okay, so it's just, okay. So that addition stays, basically.
Right.
Okay.
It's just going to be reallocated.
Yep.
You probably should have stated what the millage rates stayed the same, so if that helped, Alan.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the next, go ahead, Alan, do you have another question?
No, it's okay. I just,
Okay.
somewhere I'd like us to save some money, and I don't know where it's going to come from.
Well,
You know,
honestly, we've done pretty well in the general fund. We know in the ambulance fund, we've got an ambulance coming up on 20 years.
Yes.
We've got a quote for a new ambulance. I'll bring that contract in March. The reason for it is we can get a price. We paid $311 for the ambulance in 2022. This one's only going to cost $355.
Well,
So it's not bad considering the inflation, and we have to wait 2 or 3 years to get it. So it's not like it's going to drive through the garage door as soon as we order it. We lock in the price, put 10% down, and then we have to wait till we get delivery. The fire trucks, we have the funds to go for a second tanker. We've got a quote for a 3,000 gallon basic tanker for roughly 265,000. We paid more than that, but we got a really good pump or tanker the first time. This one's just going to be the support with an extra 3,000 gallons, replacing a 2,000 gallon.
So that's a touch lesser. Is it?
Oh, yeah, it's 100 and some odd
Basic.
thousand less.
It's basic.
Okay.
It's, yes, yeah, it's just a basic pumper, it's higher capacity. And then we start facing the big pumper replacement program. And what we have to do, and I go through some of this later on in the capital program, but the idea is, how do we take the cash flow of the increased millage and evaluate when we purchase it to try to maximize what we might be able to get on a resale to reduce the overall cost. So we'll have to figure that out as we go along. But as of right now, the road millage needs to be kept in place with the increase, and so do the ambulance and the fire truck.
This was just the first year on that increase.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
year one.
Okay.
So the next page is a very high-level summary of revenue and expenses. And I basically went back and looked at this board's first real budget year that we worked on for the 2021 timeframe. The middle columns, I show what the original budget was for the 23-24 and where the estimate is coming out. We have 1 month left. And then what the estimate for the cash balance at the end of this year, and then the budget year 24-25, and where I estimate cash to be at that time frame. So this gives you an overall view of how the revenue is changing, how our expenses are changing. If there's no questions, then let's move on to the next page.
That's a good page. Okay.
Thank you. Capital improvements, we were just talking about that. As I said, when I first took office, we have 3 critical areas for this township. The first one is fire, the next one is the ambulance, and the third are the roads. Everything else is basically housekeeping for the township. But these are the 3 critical services that the township expects us to protect and keep in place. The township passed the millage increase for the roads, and the board took action to establish the increased millage to address what we have as looming replacement costs, and we have started that program. The fund balances I have here, the fire right now is at 856, and again, the favorability there is because we didn't have the payment for the fire truck in December of 2023. So it's really been delayed almost a whole year.
And it's going to be delayed a little farther out, isn't it, too?
Right now, they're saying December, November timeframe.
Are we making money on what we've got, Sharon?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
We
that'll
are.
be, she's done a great job in managing our
Okay.
free cash. Minimum funds prior to the 24-25 tax collection, I feel that we need to have a cushion in our funds for the fire department, roughly 225,000, ambulance 275, just for that rainy day when something happens, and we've got things planned, but those are the surprises. So I want to make sure we have funds available. As a review of the capital plan, the first one we have is the road fund. Currently, we are 2 years into that program. We have 5 years left. Overall, the plan covers the time period of 2023 through 2028. There are 33 roads that are going to be addressed for a total of 21.5 miles. We started with the program having 300,000 of cash. I project 1.9 million during the next 5 years. Projected costs over the total 5 years is 2.2 million. At the end of 28, we ought to end up with $0 in the fund, which is what you would anticipate. The roads are being repaired to last somewhere between 10 and 15 years. We're going to have to renew the millage in November of 26. I think we can review it at that time and see what the cost expectations are. But in working with Bert, when you start looking out 15 years and you use a very conservative 5% for increase in roads, what it's going to take in 28 to fix the Northwest Torch Lake Drive, which is about 200 and some odd thousand. That work, by the time we get out 15 years, is going to be close to $400,000 a mile.
A mile?
So, yep. So
Wow.
we have a lot of responsibility, and unfortunately, I don't get a lot of good feelings from the county for any money coming to us to support it outside of whatever our share is of the
Small
tax.
allocation.
So it is what it is. The township has to take care of the roads. And when we look at this in 2026, we'll redo a cash flow analysis, taking it out, and we'll go from there. Bert's feeling is that the chip and seal would be upgraded to the 1.5 inch work, and that the 1.5 inch work would have to probably be, the roads would have to be redone. So, but that's a long ways away. That's going to be.
Then he's talking about digging it all up.
Right.
Oh, so that's where a lot of your costs is.
Long time
Okay.
out. So, future boards are going to have to watch this plan. Once it gets completed, then start monitoring the costs and reevaluating what's going to be needed when the roads have to be fixed.
Say again why he thinks we'd have to dig it up?
Well, he
put
just
down-
thinks that we've covered the surface, but what's underneath that covering, is once you work through that covering, you're down and you're going to have to redo that bed. That was his feeling. Now, again, Alan, if you think about it, in 15 years, maybe they last 20 years. The idea is that at some point, they're going to have to be resurfaced anyway, and we're going to have money to do it.
Well, I always watch Golden Beach Drive and Crestwell, of course, because that's my way out. And there's just areas sometimes that are, obviously bad. They sink, they get wet, and they crack. Other areas don't. And even on the snow the other day, it was noticeable one whole area, probably as much as a couple 100 feet, was totally melted. And another area was not. And I thought, well, is that a wetness under there? The water temperature or high water table under that would cause the snow to melt. So there were differences there that I almost wanted to go out and peg them, mark them, because that might be improved. That whole
Yeah.
section might be improved, but maybe
Might
I
be
will
with
once.
trees
If we
blocking
have
the
another
sun.
snowfall, I might do that. Well, just to
Yeah.
look at it,
Yeah,
because
that-
it might be there might be some savings there that, what does it take to pound a stake in the ground? Okay,
At this point, there's not going to be any savings in the work that's going to be undertaken in the next 5 years. Those things, Bert has gone out with his little magic knife to
Yeah.
figure out the depth of the cracks and things. And we're going to have to do that level of work. We looked at every road. He identified, as you will see on the next page, the work is laid out by road, and some of it is an overlay. We had to do an overlay there on Barnes Road, if you'll remember. I mean, they took a lot of that down. So there's sections that need to be done, and some of it, he says, we've got some work in shaping with 2 inches. So potentially those are 10 plus years, as he says, could be 20 years for that work until you have to fix it. Again, the idea is we've got a roadmap for what we need to do today, and what happens in the future is another board's problem. But we need to keep the money in place and building up the reserve so that it's not a surprise to the township in the future.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Yes.
Time to go back to horse and buggy.
Well, they're talking about that for Essex Road. They
Has
were-
there been any comments from the property owners that the road we fixed last year that they all came in for and they were so happy? Has there any comments back from them?
I got a couple emails after it was done, but, I didn't expect to get a lot of them. I mean, they'd lived a long time with the dirt, so they were probably just happy it got done.
I didn't know if we,
No, I didn't get a lot, but,
No, they were pleased, very pleased.
well, you would know. 'cause
Yeah, they're
you're-
just
you got
outside
it.
my gate. Right. They're great. They're very happy with that.
they came and wanted the done, but I never seen anybody come back and.
Well, I did get emails from the people that originally brought it to our attention.
Good.
So.
Good.
The next slide is on the ambulance. As I indicated earlier, our current backup is 16 years old. It's going to get, before we get a new one, it'll be 20. The current cost, we've got a quote that came in after I got this is $355. If we order now, I've got the contract as I indicated, it's still 2 to 3 years out, but we get a fixed contract on that. And hopefully the board will support that purchase and we'll get it underway. Again, 2 to 3 years before we have to pay the balance on it, which is a little over 300. We'll have plenty of money in the reserve to do that. The next slide is on the fire. We purchased our first tanker in late 22. It still hasn't been delivered. We expect it delivered soon. That's the 351,000 item. The cost was $475. We paid $124,000 as a down payment. That was the ARPA money that we received. We have the opportunity to replace the unit 8830. Its useful life is 2028. We have, as I mentioned, bid for $265,000 for a 3,000 gallon tank. But again, we won't get it for 2 or 3 years, which gets it out to that 27, 28 timeframe. In that fund, we have plenty of money that will be built up by the time that comes due. We should have no problem paying for it. And then the objective is to see that money grow because we'll have a pumper, as you can see, in 2033 that will reach the 25-year mark. Right now, we think the costs might be at the 650 mark, depending on the inflation that the suppliers are experiencing. So I am proposing that at some point in 2028, we will go out there and purchase that with the time frame, knowing that we got 2 or 3 years to go. If we can get it earlier, I would recommend to the board that we support the next group of board members that they order it earlier and take advantage of the resale value for that pumper. But those are decisions that we can make as far as taking care of the tanker. The pumper is the next administration.
The tankers are still only carrying water.
Only care, but the new one will have, it has a gun on the front and at the bumper, so it can fight different levels of fires. So it was more of the Cadillac version, if you will. It has a lot of good equipment items with it. The next one is just going to be, hey, I got 3 extra 1,000 gallons and it's there, and that truck can go and get refilled with a lot of water.
So what is the down payment on that second one there?
The down
basic one.
payment, I think I saw it was 75,000. And we have the funds, and the fire is in good shape, as I mentioned. The current cash balance is over 800,000. So we have the funds to make that down payment to move forward. So I'm going to bring that purchase to the board in March, at the March meeting next week. And we can kick it around, but I think we're in a position to do it, and we have to wait time. And the longer you wait, the longer that lead time is going to be. All right. Moving on. As an update, I am still pushing John Roth and John DeMoose for money. The day park is in good shape. So I've asked them to see if they can't get us somewhere between $700,000 and $900,000 for emergency equipment. There's supposedly another pot of money coming out this spring. So I've asked them if they could help us out on that. And if they do, then that could change the way we approach future purchases. And again, at that point, we can reevaluate dropping millages if possible. But no, 900, if we could get 900,000 towards the fire truck and bank the rest until we can get a second one, or if we had to move forward, there's enough lead time that our fund, the reserve, should catch up to whatever that purchase price is. That was
coming, that's federal money?
I'm sorry?
Federal money?
No, state money. So we have to wait and see what they're going to do.
So you mentioned John Roth. Can I just say he's going to be here next Monday? We're hosting him to be here for his office hours from 12 to 1 next Monday, the 18th. So everybody show up to see John
Yep.
here.
Yeah, push him a little bit. But again, I think the politics, let's face it, it's a Democratic administration. And, we'll be lucky to get something. But the idea is, let's try. But like the old proverbial saying, don't hold your breath on this one. That concludes my remarks on the budget and our capital program. Are there any questions from the public regarding the budget?
Rita knows it inside and out.
If,
I just think it's phenomenal that you got your road planned out the way you do. That's the only township in Manson County that has a road plan, take care of your roads for the next, you've got 5 years left, but your roads are gonna be taken care of after 5 years.
Yep.
And then you have to reevaluate, but
but
I
we,
don't know if it's just the fact that other townships, it seems hopeless to them because they have so many more miles than you do and such lower property values, they just don't know where to begin. I mean, I told you that Banks Township is talking about 2.5 mils for 10 years to do Essex Road, and it just seems, and that's not the only roads they got.
Yeah, we have a thorough way of 31 and all the roads don't compare to all the other townships with all the back roads and everything else. We don't have nearly as many miles.
when we started this board, that was one of the things we talked about was the roads. The roads, we hadn't addressed it. The board supported a millage increase. And
Well,
the
the public
idea,
did.
I'm
Public
sorry.
voted for it.
And the public voted for it. So the public is supporting our work. And if they're supporting the work, then you got to have a plan, keep the plan going, but don't stop the plan after you fix it because the next generation of residents are going to face a much bigger price tag to fix the roads. It's just the way it is. And in reality, if our millage can only go up 3 or 4% a year and those costs go up 5 or 10% a year, you're not catching up. You're not even staying even. So it's up to future boards to make sure they look at the strategy and keep the end game in mind.
I think the county should take a look at what roads have increased in use. Essex Road is a cut through to 48, and that route all the way to Boyne City. kind of thing. And it's just, even though it was a township road for a long time, it's being used very heavily from cutting through. But they don't take that responsibility. So now Banks Township is responsible for a lot of people that aren't necessarily Banks Township people using that road. There ought to be some formula in which the county has responsibility for that. But they keep backing off, and I know they don't get as much money as they used to. But it seems to me that they ought to work on that. That's where our legislator ought to be putting some time in terms of those kind of thoughts. I've seen the road use change in my lifetime here.
I asked at the county level to look at putting our marijuana tax money towards the road commission to help townships that were way behind, but
That went nowhere.
that went nowhere.
All right, board. We need to now review each fund's budget and millage rates. We will start with the general fund. The proposed 2024-2025 millage rate of 1 mil for the fiscal year starting April 1, 2024 through March 31, 2025. Next, special assessment ambulance fund proposed 2024-2025 millage rate of 2.25 mils for the fiscal year starting April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. This is split 1.85 mils, the equivalent $640,213 for operations, and 0.4 mil, $143,181 allocated to capital equipment.
Did I hear you say 2.5?
I'm sorry?
Did I hear you say 2.5?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is 1.85 and 0.4 is a 1.75.
1.85.
Okay, 1.85 and 0.4.
Yes, 2.25, 2.25.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought I heard 2.5.
No, I think I said 2.25.
I didn't hear that, but that's
That's
okay.
okay. That's all right.
Just making sure.
Yep. Special assessment fire fund proposed 2024-2025 millage rate of 1.75 mil for the fiscal year starting April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. This is a split of 1 mil, $357,953 for operations, and 0.75 mil, $256,465 allocated to capital equipment. Next, the road fund proposed for 2024-2025 millage rate of 1 mil for the fiscal year starting April 1, 2024 through March 31, 2025. That completes the review of the funds with specific tax levy millage rates. The cemetery fund is budgeted as presented. Liquor enforcement fund is budgeted as presented. Traverse Bay Nature Preserve is budgeted as presented. Again, I'm happy to take any questions based on those pages. If not, do I have a motion to close the budget public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you, Alan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Motion is made and seconded to close the budget public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The public hearing is hereby closed. Do I have a motion to close the budget meeting?
So
I think it
moved.
says public comment down there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good. Public comment.
Yes, okay.
No public comment. All right, can I go?
All
All right. Do I have a motion to close the budget meeting?
So moved.
Thanks, Alan. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jason. Motion is made and seconded to close the budget hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No one is opposed. It passes. The meeting is hereby closed. We will take a 5-minute break, and then we will start the annual meeting of the Electors.
Sharon, she was running the meeting.
Mike, get it started. Thank you, sir. I call to order the Torch Lake Township Annual Meeting of the Electors of March 12, 2024 at 6:42. The board members have joined the electors at this time. Welcome, everyone. Glad you have joined us. We have the minutes to approve from the March 7th, 2023 annual meeting. Are there any objection by the electors to waive the reading of last year's minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion from the floor to waive the reading of the March 7th, 2023 annual meeting minutes? Paul, thank you. Is there a second? Thank you.
So who made the Paul?
Paul. And we have Laura Anderson. It has been moved and seconded to waive the reading of the March 7th, 2023 minutes. Any discussion by the electors on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Didn't we have a correction to make?
Hang on,
Oh,
hang on.
okay.
Are there any discussions or corrections with regards to the minutes of March 7th, 2023? Laura?
Yes.
Please. I'll turn it on.
Oh, scare me.
Can you hear me? Okay, under item 5B, at the very end of that paragraph, was it passed unanimously or with one nay vote?
Okay, where are you at, Laura?
5, salary
First
resolution,
page,
B.
first page, down at the bottom,
B, okay.
Okay,
last sentence.
so the clerk's salary at 28,000 was seconded and passed unanimously with one nay vote.
So it's got to be
It's got
passed.
to either be unanimous or
Yeah, it's
Oh.
got to be passed.
passed with one nay vote.
Right, so we'll take out
Was
the word unanimous, all right? Anyone else? All right, hearing none?
So we're removing the word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion from the floor to approve the minutes of the March 7th, 2023 annual meeting minutes with changes? Thank you, Laura. Is there a second? Thank you, Rita. It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 7th, 2023 minutes with changes. Any discussion by the electors on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving to the next agenda item, are there any testimonies or comments from our citizens related to the township? Hearing none, I will now read my state of the township.
Do I have to write all these minutes down or you?
No, I've scripted them out for you.
Okay, so I'm not, thank you.
Time has flown by as this board has completed nearly 3.5 years of our 4-year term. I'm pleased with the progress of the township's business during the past year. I want to thank the board as they continue to support the agenda items presented over the last year. We've covered a lot of ground with a focus on setting the township up with a long-term capital plan for road repairs, upgrading our fire and ambulance equipment, and establishing funds to ensure future boards will have the money for new equipment when they become due. The key item passed during this year's term was the time of transfer septic police power ordinance. There was a lot of community discussion, and the township has received many requests for information on what was done and how we did it from the communities around the state. The Planning Commission has nearly completed their efforts of rewriting our zoning ordinances and will shortly be conducting public hearings on that document. Please monitor the township website for dates and times, and copies of the rewritten zoning ordinances will be available on the website. Both our fire and ambulance teams have performed their services with a professionalism that the township can be proud of. It was a challenging year as there were a number of serious accidents our folks had to work through. A special thank you to Mike Bertram, our emergency services director, and Kevin Lane, our fire chief, and Ted Schroeder, who assists both of our leaders, keeps them in line, and helps with our technology needs in the office. We have had a number of tough cases for the ZBA to handle, with 2 of their decisions being appealed to the circuit court, both of which were upheld. I'm very proud of the work our ZBA has done, and I want to read the last paragraph of the judge's findings associated with one of the cases. These are the court's comments. The case law has established that as long as there is a proper factual basis for what the Zoning Board of Appeals relied on, the court is not to put itself in their shoes, so to speak, and do a new factual analysis. And here they made the determination that this use, accessory use, is not compatible with residential neighborhoods. There was substantial, competent, and material evidence that was placed on the record. There was nothing in the procedural process the court saw that was improper. And I don't find that it was an unreasonable exercise of discretion granted to the board of the Zoning Board of Appeals by law. They are the ones who made the determination that this use would not be compatible with a residential neighborhood. They made findings to that effect. They supported that finding appropriately in this court's opinion, and thus I will not overturn that decision or make a finding to the contrary. So I will deny the appeal for that basis on both accounts. Laura, you did a great job, and you please tell the board they did a fantastic job on that case. That was a very tough case. One of the areas that is getting a lot of attention, and our township would be lost without her, is our assessor, Amy Genema. With the continual changes coming out of Lansing regarding the assessment process, Amy keeps our township updated and in compliance with all the new regulations. And we just had a border review, and let me tell you, it's just amazing what's coming out of Lansing for border review type stuff. So we're just very lucky to have her.
Mhm.
I'll thank you also, Linda Woodward, who has been managing our constant contact network and has brought our citizens information on what is happening in the township. I want to give a special thank you to Bob and Virginia Hawkins for their continuing commitment to our day park. Those operations, without their involvement, that park would be a lot bigger problem for this township, and it wouldn't be what it is today. So a special thank you to them. I want to thank Andy Graves, Chairman of the Planning Commission, Laura Anderson, Chairwoman of the ZBA. They have accepted the challenges with a lot of energy and are doing a terrific job in handling their respective positions. Andy did a great job during the Dollar General discussion, handled the meeting very well, kept it under control, and made sure that they thoroughly evaluated the situation and got the details correct and voted. Finally, I want to compliment our zoning administrator, Sarah Capriva, and her assistant, Jackie Peterson. Sarah provides a level of zoning experience, knowledge, and professionalism to our zoning function, and is one of the reasons the ZBA has not been that busy. Jackie is a valuable member of this team, and our citizens should take the time to review their monthly report that is published for each board meeting to understand how busy they have been. My goals for the balance of this year are to continue implementing our capital plans with the appropriate financial models for the board's consideration, complete the zoning rewrite review by the Planning Commission and getting the necessary approvals to put it into effect, retaining those individuals on the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals as terms will be coming up for renewals. It will be a busy year for your board, and that concludes my comments. Next item on the agenda is the electors voting on the proposed salaries of the elected township officials. The board held meetings in January around the setting the salaries of the various elected officials. The increases are reflective of the deliberations of the members of the board. Motions for each elected office will be accepted from the floor from the electors. Motions will be made separately for each office and then voted on by the electors of the township. Anyone can make a motion for an amount that is the same, greater, or greater than the current salaries. It cannot be made for less than. Or they can make a motion based on the recommendation from the board. You have copies of the resolutions at the back of the room. We will walk through these one at a time. The following salary recommendations are as follows. Supervisor, salary proposed at $34,000, a $2,500 increase, 8%. Current salary is $31,500. Is there a motion from the floor regarding that salary? Yes, Laura? Would you-
Motion that we adopt this resolution number 2024-01, putting the supervisor's salary at $34,000 for the 2024-25 fiscal year.
All right, is there a second? Thank you, Paul. Any discussion regarding the salary for the supervisor? Motion has been made by Laura Anderson, seconded by Paul Van Hees. The motion has been read. Any discussion from the floor? If there's no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. We have 5, 6, 7.
6, 7.
Yep. So that motion passes 7-0. Resolution 2024-02, clerk salary proposed at $31,000, a $3,000 increase, 11%. Current salary is $28,000. Any discussion regarding the salary for the clerk? Is there a motion from the floor for the clerk's salary? Thank you, Jason. Is there a second? Thank you, Alan. Motion has been made and seconded for Resolution 2024-02, clerk salary proposed at $31,000. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor, please raise your hand. I count 7-0. Motion passes 7-0. Resolution 2024-03, treasurer salary proposed at $34,000, a $1,000 3% increase. Current salary is $33,000, which was a 10% increase over in 2022. Any discussion regarding the salary for the treasurer? Is there a motion from the floor for the treasurer? Thank you, Laura. Is there a second? Thank you, Rita. Motion has been made and seconded to set the treasurer's salary at the proposed rate of $34,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0.
You didn't raise your hand.
I'm sorry?
You didn't have your hand up.
Well, count as approved. Final resolution 2024-04, trustee salary proposed at $6,000, $200 increase, 3%. Current salary is $5,800. Any discussion regarding the salary of the trustees? Is there a motion from the floor for the trustees? Rita, thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Alan. Motion has been moved and seconded to set the trustee salary at $6,000 as proposed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. 7-zip. Motion passes. Thank you, citizens. Moving to public comment. Are there any individuals wishing to make a public comment at this time? Yes, look up. Did it turn red? Well, then it's dead. This one work? Here we go. It's blinking, so make it quick. Did it die? All right.
Here you go.
Just talk loud, Jill. People will hear you.
I just thought you might find it interesting. With 3 townships, I see different resolutions, and Banks Township was the most recent. Their supervisor salary is $23,100. The clerk and the treasurer are the same at $35,385.
Three, what would you say?
$35,385. And the trustees are $3,300.
Laura?
Guess I don't need to go to the mic.
No, you don't have to go to the mic. Just speak your loud
Okay,
voice.
First, a request in regards to the revised zoning ordinance. I'd like to request that the revised document be available to the public in a minimum of 2 weeks before the meeting.
All right.
Revised, say that again, I'm sorry. Say that again. Revised,
The revised zoning ordinance.
The
be
rewriting.
available
oh,
to the
okay.
public a minimum of 2 weeks before the.
First public hearing, right? Okay.
And the second comment is that I would just like to thank all of the board for all the hard work you've done over the past year and encourage you to keep up the great work next year.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Do we have a board in here? Or do we go right into adjournment?
Sorry?
I would like to make a comment.
You can make a
I've
comment.
got
Yeah.
some part of the public here, right? Mine's going to be brief and simple. Again, I would like to thank the board for their hard work all year long, and particularly for this meeting. I'd like to thank Bob for all the devotion and the time spent on this budget for his final package outlay. It was pretty professionally looking, and thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anything else? Hearing none, that completes the agenda for this year's annual meeting. I make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it at 7 o'clock on the dot.
Thank you, everyone.